This is Ron Ball, and I want to welcome you to Choose Greatness, your key to a happier life. I know that those of you watching want a better life. I know you want a greater life. I know you want more success, more prosperity. But how do you get it? How do you really achieve your goals? Well, one of the great things about this program is we tell you how to do it. We want to give you God's principles and explain how they can work every day in your life. If you are frustrated with your finances, if you are disappointed at your position in life, if you are struggling with your marriage or your family, we want to give you principles from God's Word that can make an immediate difference in your life. I was in a conference recently where a number of people mobbed me at the end and asked how can they build businesses? How can they succeed? How can they make more money? And I was very excited to tell them that God has covered all of that in His Word. There are practical ways that you can actually have a better life. Now, this program is called Choose Greatness for a reason, because greatness does not just happen to you accidentally. It is a choice. You make decisions. And you make choices that actually bring about the goals that you dream of. So this is going to be a very motivating show today, and I'm super excited that you're watching. So tell as many people as possible to tune in. Call somebody right now, text somebody, send out a tweet, do whatever you have to do, but make sure as many of your friends as possible are watching right now, because this is going to be a great show that's going to help you have a better life. Now, I have a wonderful guest today, my friend Tony Morales. Tony, I'm so delighted you're on the show. I have known Tony for a number of years. We'll get into that in a moment. And I told Tony a moment ago that one of the great things about him appearing on this show is that he looks so good. I mean, Tony, you look terrific. You look like a successful businessman, because that's exactly what Tony is. I have asked Tony to be on this show for two reasons. Number one, he loves Jesus. He has a tremendous commitment in his heart, in his life, to Jesus Christ as Lord of his life. But I've also asked Tony for another reason. He is a successful, and I'm going to say that again, he is a successful businessman. He has a wonderful business network, which we'll tell you about over the course of this show and the one to follow. But right now, I just want you to get to know Tony. I want to introduce him to you. So Tony, I want our audience to kind of know your background, your story. I want to ask you where you grew up and how you met Jesus. I want to hear about your family. So kind of give us your short version of your life history.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me on the show. Well, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, in Spanish, Puerto Rico. And we were a regular family, just like average family. We didn't have much, you know, middle, low class. My parents didn't go to church. We were not Catholic. We were not any religion. And all of a sudden, I started growing up and finding out that knowing about truth and knowing about principles had something to do with success in life. And I started practicing. I had a paper route. I had a small business. I had regular endeavors, but I sold cars on my own in front of my parents.
On your own?
Yeah, on my own. In front of my parents' house, which is not legal, but you know.
Hey, don't do this at home, all right?
No, don't do this at home. And you know, the funny thing is, police officers stopped by and asked for prices. That was the craziest thing.
So they didn't throw you into jail.
No,
they wanted to see if they could get a deal on a car.
Exactly. So, well, time went by, and I went to high school, went to college, and started to think that life wasn't as easy as I thought. So I started learning more about success, but learning more about failure at the same time. So one of the things I learned is that if I didn't know my north, if I didn't have something to follow, success was not going to show up on its own. So I had so many failures. We don't have time to number them out. It's one day, I remember, I met my lovely wife, to whom I've been married. This year will be 34 years
God bless
straight.
you. God bless. Did you hear what he said? 34 years straight.
Yeah, uninterruptedly. We've had our fights, of course, but I mean, God is good. God has giving me. I got the better part of the deal. I feel sorry for her sometimes because look at me. But anyway, I go like, I tell her, I love you so much every morning. She says, I know. You don't have to tell me every day. I want to tell you every day. So I
Good
met
man,
her.
good man.
I met her. I looked older than she did all the time. I still do. And then we started trying to do businesses that, it was a video store, this, that, and the other. But nothing seemed to fly. Nothing seemed to how do you say this, launch. So one day I was like, well, forget all about it. I'm going to find a job. I'm going to work 30 years for someone else, retire like everyone else I know, and live off of Social Security and pension. But then I didn't do that either because I don't like bosses. I had a job at a bank. I worked there like 5 years. And to be honest, I liked it because the people were great, but I just didn't see myself improving. So one day I'm desperate. We started going to a church and looking for answers, looking for information, something that we didn't have. So I was sitting down at a church and everyone left, so I stayed. I stayed because I know God is so powerful. I couldn't move. My wife was behind me. She put her hands on me. I started crying and saying, what's going on? What's wrong? What wrong have I done? Then the pastor came around. He prayed for us, and I accepted Jesus that very same day, April 3rd, 1987.
You know exactly the day.
Oh, yeah. That was one day before my birthday. So people sometimes think that right away when you accept Jesus as your Lord, miracles are going to start to happen like the next second. It could, because God is like that. But in my case, I believe I deserve a little waiting. So, and not deserve, God knew that I needed to wait for a little time.
You needed to develop something.
Exactly. So that was April. On November, I met one of my main business associates, who's going to be in the show soon, and he introduced me to our industry. And it was like a mind-blowing revelation. I said, I had no idea this was like that. We started connecting, and we connect people with products. We connect products with companies. We connect companies with other companies. And I've been doing that for the past 30 years, believe it or not.
So you think it's been pretty successful?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's God, the success is all to God. I'm just a tool. I'm just the guy who...
But you have made some money.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I have asked God to bless it every time, because the times when I have not respected God's money, He has taken it away from me.
That's interesting. The times you've not respected God's money.
Yeah, because
so you believe in tithing and giving, and
people think money is ours. Money is not ours. All the money belongs to God. He gives it to us in order for us to use it as tools to impact other people. It's a blessing, of course, because you have more comfort in some areas, but it really is not our money. I really think that we are in this world to impact positively on other people. And the way we have been doing that is by helping people become entrepreneurs, helping them open their own business. Before the internet was in, we did it by catalog. We did it by mouth-to-mouth communication, word-of-mouth communication, I should say. We did it improvising. We were rookies. We didn't know much about it, but we were associated with companies on the ranks of, nowadays we're ranked, associated with companies with the rank of Apple, rank of Sears, Kmart, Target, Best Buy. We have so many partner stores that is so much appealing to many people to be associated in this kind of industry, because we don't own a store. We don't have a real business place. it's all done virtually through the internet. But the reason I say that is because it became like that because we started respecting the money God gave us. After we didn't respect it, and it was taken away from us, and we started again suffering misery, suffering different challenges. And it was not until we decided together, my wife and I, to go back to the walks of the Lord, that we should go and straighten our life again, heal our spirit, because our spirit was, well, hers has always been healthy, but mine was broken.
Well, you know, you've made me think of something very important, Tony, and I want to say this to all our viewers. Money is not evil. Money is not bad. It's what you do with it. I think that's what you're trying to communicate. And some of you know the verse that I've referenced on other shows. People usually misquote this verse from 1 Timothy, that money is the root of all evil. And of course, that's not what the verse says. You already know that's not what the verse says. It says that a love of money is a root of all kinds of evil.
Exactly.
So what that means is that the important factor about money is is your attitude, what you do with it, how you approach it. There's a great verse in Deuteronomy 18 that says, it is God who gives you power to create wealth. Now, wait a moment. It is God who gives you power to do what? To create wealth, to create it for the benefit of His kingdom. Because the second part of that verse says, it is God who gives you power to create wealth and so fulfill His covenant. Exactly. That's what you meant about respecting God's money. Now, I want to back up for a moment because you said something that our viewers really need to understand. There are many of you watching who don't have enough money. And you know you don't have enough money. And it's not that you're greedy or you're materialistic. You just want to pay your bills. You just want to have more comfort. You want to have more of a margin of safety so you're not worried about money. I mean, if you didn't have a paycheck for the next 30 days, if you had no income for the next 3 months, could you survive? Many of you, the answer is no, because you have no margin, no savings. You're just going month to month, mouth to mouth. Now, Tony, I think you would agree that there's a better way to live, and God doesn't want His people to struggle so severely that they can't survive. So God's given opportunities. We have a mutual friend, our friend in North Carolina. We have a mutual friend who, and you've heard him say this, and he's one of the biggest individuals in this type of business. We have a mutual friend who explained to both of us one time that God doesn't always give you money. Sometimes He gives you opportunity that you need to have the strength and discipline to take advantage of.
Exactly.
So I want to back up for a moment. You mentioned, and this is for all of you who need more money, all right? Which may be a lot of you, okay? And we want God to help you. We want God to bless you. The reason I asked Tony Morales to be on this show is that he is a wonderful Hispanic Christian businessman who has been tremendously successful. He knows things you need to know, and we're going to explore that the next few minutes. But what I want Tony to address right now is something you've already mentioned: failure. Failure. You have not had unbroken successes. When you started out, you mentioned that you had multiple failures. Give us an example of a failure, something that didn't work.
Wow. Where do I start? Well, failure first in understanding God. That was the worst failure. Second, understanding His plan. And third, understanding that I needed to be, how do you say this? Not loyal, because that's not the word. I was loyal. I needed to be respectful to the marriage He had given me and the business He would give me eventually. And He was trying me, see if I could handle anything bigger. And 2 or 3 or 4 businesses before the one that I have 30 years on, I did not know how to do it because I was lazy. I did not respect money. I was not in sync with God. I did not respect my marriage. I did not respect my home because I wanted to be like everyone else. I wanted to have a business, a job, money, success, the right car, the right house, the right this, the right that, the right other. And all of a sudden, God revealed to me, you don't have to have the right car. You don't have to ride the right money, you don't have to have the right house. You have to have the right spirit. That's what you need to have. So I started healing my spirit. Failures I failed on a business that was a video rental club. I failed in my newspaper route. I was successful for some time, but then I got, how do you say this, lazy again. I got lazy. I worked at a bank. I could have gone up in the bank if I wanted to, but I got lazy. I got critical of my bosses. I got critical of the opportunity God had given to me by working in a bank, earning money.
That's why you say you disrespected the opportunity.
I disrespected him. I disrespected his money. His opportunity is the way he wanted me to see that he was in charge. Not the only way, one of the ways. And I started at a bank, a very low rate. Those of you who maybe don't remember that, but I started at $1.95 an hour.
Would you like to make $1.95 an hour in a bank? You did that.
I did that. And about 5 years later, I went out of the bank or quit or gave my resignation to open one of my business. And I was earning $3.85 an hour.
It's a pretty big promotion.
It's in 1983. Some of you weren't born yet. So 1983 was a great year, but it was also a very, how do you say, a year of a great teaching, because I had already met my future wife. I was dating her. I met his parents. At the beginning, we didn't sync. Now we're best friends, but I didn't sync because I was rebellious. I wanted everyone to mold themselves around me.
Now I want all of you to hear. Pardon me for interrupting, Tony, but I want you to really listen to what he's saying. Tony is explaining something that is very important for you and your children.
Yes.
What Tony is saying is that there are reasons why people succeed and reasons why they fail.
Of course.
Reasons. He said sometimes he was lazy. Sometimes he was selfish, right?
Yes.
And sometimes he was disrespectful of God's principles. Now, the reason I think that's important, Tony, I want you to come back to that in just a moment. But the reason that's important is because if you complain that you are a victim, you've heard me say this in this program before, if you complain that, oh, life is not treating me fairly, or I would do better, but my boss won't promote me, or I would do better, but I'm in a bad job, and you always are looking at other people with envy, and you always think, well, you know, life is just giving me bad breaks. That type of thinking is disaster. It will keep you from making more money because it's all about you. You never take responsibility. If you're not making more money, maybe you're like Tony, you're lazy. If you're not doing better with your finances, maybe you're being disrespectful. If you're not doing better in life, maybe you're occupied with what you said, criticizing people or being negative. Was that it?
Yes.
So if you'll notice, all of that is self-centered. It's not God-centered. And what happens is you blame everybody else. I remember a woman, Tony, and this is a woman I met in one of the rallies where I spoke for your organization. This woman had been brought up like a fairy tale princess. Her father took her and the family to Hawaii every year. They bought her a new car when she graduated from high school and another new car when she graduated from college. So when she got married and got into the e-commerce business, which you're a part of and I'm very familiar with, she was very resentful because she had felt entitled, like she deserved all this success, but she was not willing to work hard or plan well or be respectful to get it. And that's why I want to key in on something Tony said. Tony, I didn't know what you were going to say. I just gave you some ideas to begin with and left it to you. But I am very impressed at Tony using the term disrespect. Disrespect. Because when you disrespect your job, when you disrespect God's opportunities, when you disrespect God's principles, God doesn't bless that. He does not bless that. So now, you mentioned failures, and a lot of it was rooted in you.
All of it was.
All of it. Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you. All of it was rooted in you. I didn't want to be too rough on you, okay?
Yeah.
But did you notice something else? Tony said there were times when he wasn't as focused on his marriage and God didn't bless his business. What I'm wanting all of you to understand is there are many reasons why God won't bless you. There are many reasons. And if you are going full speed for money, but you're neglecting God and Jesus and your marriage and your family, God won't honor that. So what changed for you? What actually brought you to a better understanding of how to be successful?
Believe it or not, and I'm not saying this because you're here, but my first time I saw you was June '88 at the Fontainebleau Hilton. And
I remember that.
You spoke about respect, you spoke about principles, and you spoke about respecting money and how that had changed your life. And I was like, there it is. I just didn't have the words to explain it because also I didn't want to admit it because, you know, we're cowards by nature. And I didn't want to admit it. So I was, after that convention, I told my wife, did you hear what Mr. Ball, I called him Mr. Ball then, Mr. Ball said? And she said, my wife's English wasn't as it is now. So she said, I got the message. I said, we got to fix that. I got to fix that. So we started doing things differently. And we started going forward in spite of failing while doing it, which is something people don't like to do. I was eight.
Say that again.
Going forward in spite of failing while on the way to success.
You don't give in to the failures.
No, I don't give in. I just learn from them. You got to learn from them because if you don't learn from failures, I read in a book, I read many books, but I read in this specific book, if you want success, you have to work, fail your way up to success.
Oh, I love that. Now,
fail your way up to success.
Now hold that thought.
That's amazing.
Did you hear that? He said you have to fail your way up to success. So you don't give in to failure.
No.
You don't surrender to failure.
Well, of course not.
You don't allow failure to defeat you.
Nope.
You learn from it and keep going, and that's one of the secrets of your success, right?
One of the secrets of many people that I know, one of the secrets of most of the success of most people I know, and I have learned from it too. I have many, many friends who have told me similar stories, you know, when we're talking in private, because they don't like to share in public yet, but they will someday. And that's a blessing that God will give them. I feel blessed that God entered our lives and blessed it and is blessing it the way He's blessing it. The other day I was saying something and my wife, God bless her wisdom, she said, so. And then she said a phrase that, I mean, swept me off my feet. Because I was talking about, I wish we could get a nicer, bigger house to entertain our friends in our business because we need more space. And then it sounded, and I didn't even notice, it sounded like I was not grateful for my house. And she said, so, you know, like parents do to their children, so you're not grateful for the house? I said, no, I didn't say that. Because I was scared to death. It was, wait, no. That's not what he said.
Because I know your wife. She's got an honest heart.
Oh, yeah. She's tough. She's a tough cookie.
She's your partner.
She
helps you be better.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Now, and I want you to notice something. Tony is a strong man. I've known Tony for years. And he's a good businessman, and he's successful, and he's made a lot of money. God bless him. But he listens to his wife. You men, this is not some encouragement for you to be super macho and dominate your wife and you be the tough guy and the top dog. That's not what we're talking about. You listen to her because you know God brought her to make you better.
Yeah. Not only that, she's so smart. I got into this industry and I saw an opportunity. But this is what she saw when she went with me. That was her first event also, that June '88. She went in not knowing anything we were doing. She was so not familiar with what we were doing that she went to the tourism department in our country to get tourism pins to give away in Miami so people could enjoy Puerto Rico tourism. She was so not in sync with what we were doing I was like, what is that? She said, don't worry. So she started like promoting. That lasted one night. The first night you spoke, many other speakers came in, and the next day she said she left the promotional pins on a side. She said, I think I didn't know what we were coming to. Hold on a second. Let me pay attention, because even though it's in English, she said to me in Spanish, even though it's in English, I don't understand English as well, but I understood people, business, and money. That I understood. And I like that. She went to college and she studied, right, TV production.
Right.
She went to college to be behind the cameras. She didn't like to be on stage. She didn't like to speak in public. Now she's one of the best speakers, if not the best
She's
speaker.
very good, I've heard.
I know. It's impressive the way she impacts people, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Tony, let me interrupt you just for a moment. We're almost out of time. We want you to come back, all right? On the next show, I want to do one more show with you, because I want people to know how you made your money. Because, I mean, he's already made it clear that sometimes the reason you're not successful, and I'm not trying to be mean to you, but it's rooted in you. Laziness, bad attitude, critical spirit, negative attitude. Why would anybody want to help you make money? Because you're not being very good about it. So if you, to use Tony's great phrase, if you are disrespecting God's opportunities, disrespecting money, disrespecting other people God's brought into your life, how can God bless that? So we're going to bring Tony back and talk about how to make money. You don't want to miss the next show. It's going to be very, very powerful. So I want you to go to choosegreatness.com. You want to learn more? Download my audio set, The Money Clinic. The Money Clinic. We'll teach you how to make and manage money. choosegreatness.com, The Money Clinic. God bless you.